Youngkin for president? That is the question. It turns out Virginia voters would opt to elect their governor over President Biden in a hypothetical 2024 matchup by a whopping 7 percentage points.
Virginia Attorney General Jason Miyares joins us now. Jason, that same poll finds Virginians prefer Biden over Trump by 3 points, and DeSantis and Biden are tied in the state. So looking at Youngkin's numbers in your great state, do you see that popularity translating nationally in order to put Mr. Youngkin in a position where he says, you know what, I'm going to jump into 2024? What say you, Jason?
Well, all I know is what you're seeing is Virginians are recognizing that we're having the Virginia Renaissance, that Governor Youngkin has come in and he changed a lot of the anti-business, anti-parent, anti-law enforcement policies. And we're seeing just an explosion of Virginia from being in the bottom third in the pandemic recovery to now the top third. More Virginians are working than really ever before. We're having a record surplus. He's putting more money back in the pockets of taxpayers. And so Glenn Youngkin is literally at the forefront of both standing with cops, with parents, and with our small business entrepreneurs. I think that's why you're seeing that he's so popular here in Virginia. And I think he's a remarkable leader and a remarkable governor.
Well, Attorney General, we understand all of that, but Youngkin cannot run for governor of Virginia next election cycle because in Virginia you can't run 2 times in a row. And he hasn't publicly ruled out a presidential run. So is he going to run?
Well, he is zeroed in focus right now on our state legislative races. Both our state house and our state senate are up this fall. And so much of what he wants to do, which is providing relief for taxpayers, but also standing with law enforcement over drug dealers, a lot of those issues that he's wanting to get done are also getting stymied on partisan gridlock in the state senate. We have a record surplus in Virginia, over $5 billion. And right now, even though the governor wants to give a portion of that back to the taxpayers of Virginia, you have partisan gridlock where you have Senate Democrats in Richmond saying not one dime for pay raises for cops, not one dime for an infusion of money into mental health, not one dime back to the taxpayers of Virginians that are clearly paying a lot in taxes. That's why we have our surplus, and he wants to provide relief. So all I know is right now what his focus on is in Virginia, and his results are remarkable. And Glenn Youngkin has 2 remarkable traits. He both has a steel spine. He knows how to make very, very hard decisions with incredible judgment, but he also is uncommonly decent. I'm reminded of what Ronald Reagan said in his first inaugural. How can you claim to love your country if you don't first love your fellow countrymen? That's also Glenn Youngkin. That's how he governs. That's why he has such high approval ratings in Virginia, and I think he's a remarkable governor for our state.
We'll be watching. Meantime, before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts on this. An appeals court finds that D.C. targeted pro-life protesters in 2021. Listen to this ruling. Judge says the protesters covered streets, sidewalks, and storefronts with paint and chalk, yet none of the protesters were arrested. During the same summer, district police officers arrested 2 pro-life advocates in a smaller protest for chalking Black Preborn Lives Matter on a public sidewalk. By making no arrests, the police effectively exempted advocates of the Black Lives Matter message from the requirements of the ordinance. What message does a unanimous decision like this, including some Democrat-appointed judges, send to cities who try to treat the Constitution merely as a suggestion and not the law? 20 seconds to you.
Well, I think the First Amendment is the bedrock principle of who we are as a people, and I think you have seen both. I mean, we've also seen attacks on crisis pregnancy centers, but you cannot have a free, pluralistic society where you can exchange ideas if you don't allow people to express those. Grateful for the ruling.
Yeah, it is a stunning ruling talking about the difference in treatment between Black Lives Matter protesters versus pro-life protesters, and it's all laid out in something that just came down yesterday. Attorney General Miyares, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.